So I use Kali Linux for all my classes that have a Linux in it because Kali Linux is a special build that has all these hacking tools in it, but it's based on a distribution, is what they call it, of Linux called Debian, which is what the Pi is based on. So this version is based on what's called Debian Bookworm. They use names from Toy Story. So there was a Buster, there may have been a Woody, they use different Toy Story names in it. And right now we're at Bookworm, the little bookworm toy. I don't think he's a big character, but that's what they name it. What they did is because Linux is open source, you can take any version of Linux and roll your own. So Raspberry Pi rolled their own because they have an ARM processor. They need that. It has to work on a little tiny machine. This one is your basic Intel one that has all kinds of tools in it. So if we go up to the Kali menu, I guess is what you would call it. Then Kali is like some sort of God destroyer of worlds or something. So you can see, look at all these things. These are not standard tools, and we won't use all of them. But we have reconnaissance, and for instance, in reconnaissance, we should have Nmap, ZenMap. Let's take a look at ZenMap. So you can use things graphically, but most real hackers and cybersecurity guys and people and women use the terminal. Let's use ZenMap just to see how that works. Now, it's saying you want to be running this as root. What's root? It's not the root of a plant. What's root as far as the Linux operating system?
It's an authorization saying that you got the highest level of authorization in the system.
Yep. Root is the same as administrator in Windows. So when they say rooting an Android phone, you're basically going into your Android phone as the root. But notice that even though we are an administrator on our Linux machine, this is like Windows, you don't do elevated things until you need it. And that's a security principle. It's called the principle of least access. We don't have to most of the time be at the sudo level, which Owen knows what sudo is because he's worked out at the Panhandle Station all summer with Pis, and sudo is another way to run as root. And most things you don't have to do that. In this case, to run this, we have to run as root. So then we would put in our password. And if you mispronounce it, they'll think that you're talking about what's that show that has Groot in it? I Am Groot.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy, yes. So we're going to scan our network and we need to find out what our target is. So our target's going to be our network. Well, Linux does not have an IP config that shows us everything like Windows, and I'm not sure why. I haven't ever found one. I have to ask Mike. But let's go ahead up here and click on this guy, the terminal emulator. And this gives us a shell session. And this gives us a command line interface. And then in Linux world, we call it terminal. So if we do IP space A, that gives us some of our information. And it's saying we have 10.0.2.15. That is a legitimate private address, but that's the address that VirtualBox uses when your machine is on its own private network and can't communicate with anything else. That's the default when you install a virtual machine, is you can't communicate with a network. Well, ZenMap isn't any good unless we want to scan and connect to a network. So we want to change our machine settings by going to machine, and this is like unplugging your physical machine from one switch and plugging it into another. But we go to machine and settings, go down to network and see where's connected to NAT, which is the default setting. If we click this, we want to go to bridged for right now. Bridged means that now Kali Linux will be on the same network as all the computers and servers. And then we go ahead and click OK. And I don't know why Linux doesn't change right away. Well, maybe it is now. Maybe the newer version will connect and disconnect and we'll. Yeah, see it disconnected, now it's reconnecting again. Let's see if it changed. Okay, it did, huh? Used to have to restart Kali Linux. But now it changed, so now my address is 10.0.1.113. And if I go to my regular Windows computer and bring up a command prompt, cmd, and I do ipconfig, we'll never, ever use this for anything. 192.168.56.1 is a fake adapter that VirtualBox uses to connect to your physical adapter. So we're never going to use that. Doesn't exist. There's my IP address. See, I have 10.0.1, which tells me that both this and my Kali Linux machine are on the same subnet. So let me bring up the notepad because this is a good thing to review. So the first part of the address, 10.0.1. What was the rest of mine? And all your stuff is the same. Hi, Riley. 161. That's my address. Your address is going to be different because you can't have two houses on top of each other, right? Wouldn't work. So that's called the subnet mask, and it actually lines up with this. So this is my IP address. Part of this is the network address, meaning the address of the network. So everybody is going to have 10.0.1. If you don't, let me know because something's wrong. 10.0.1 designates the network. That's not unique because we're all on the same street. Each of our houses has a different house number. My house number is 161. Andy's house number is, what's your house number, Andy?
1331. You mean like address or?
No, I mean, I'm using an analogy of house number for your IP address.
Oh,
So it's the last one. The first part is the network address. This part is your unique address, the very end of it. How about you, Christy?
I'm still booting Linux on the VirtualBox on this computer.
Oh, good. How about you, Tori?
I'm still trying to open it.
Oh, boy. How about you, Owen?
178.
Yep. But the first part's the same.
Yep.
So we have two different things, and what gives us the difference is this guy. It's called a subnet mask. It masks out the network. And then this is my unique address, which kind of pops out, so to speak. I don't know. What's a good analogy for that? So we have to have those two things to communicate on a network. We also have a gateway. We need a gateway to do what, Owen?
So we could. Maybe. You mean what, be a Microsoft one?
This allows us to communicate inside our network with each other. So the gateway allows us to do what?
Isn't that like the router?
Yeah. So the first two allow us to communicate internally in this network, and that's it. You can't go anywhere else. The default gateway allows us to, yes, communicate, but with what?
Within our. What am I?
We can already communicate within our network.
Yeah.
The first two take care of that. What does the default gateway take care of? Okay, so what if I do this? Is google.com inside our network?
No. So it's like external outside.
This does not match 10.0.1, does it?
no, that's internet.
Right, so your computer, when it sees an IP address that it's talking to, it says, oh, this is 10.0.1, it's here. If it's not 10.0.1, it says, oh, I need to send it to the default gateway, which is a router of some sort. The default gateway means I don't know what to do with it, so I'm going to send it there. And then that router takes care of carrying it on its way. And if it doesn't know how to work, if it can't complete if it can't complete the journey, then it comes back and says it failed. Make sense? Well, we'll see. We'll go through it more and again. So that's fine if I'm pinging an IP address. That's a DNS address. What does a DNS address do for us?
What's this paying out to the server?
Close.
But just like pinging Google.
What it does is it resolves google.net.com to an IP address. I couldn't think of it. Oh, I could have, yeah. I don't know what I was thinking. So ping 8.8. Oh, my number turned off. If I ping 8.8.8.8, I'm pinging the IP address. I don't need anything else. I need a host address. I need a subnet mask. I need a gateway. That's it. I don't need anything else because I'm going directly to the spot. But is it easier to remember Amazon.com and the names than 8.7.42.67 or whatever it would be? Yeah. So if I want to ping Google, I'm using a DNS server to resolve the name to a number, and then I determine, is this inside my network or not? So is 172.217.4 inside my network? Does the first part match our network ID or our network address? No. So all your computer has to decide is, does it belong to my network or not? And that is determined by this. This part is my network. If this does not match where I'm going, I send it here. That's why it's called default, meaning anything I don't know about, and the router does the same thing. Well, I don't know about this. I'm going to send it there. But sometimes the next router does know where it is, and it'll send it specifically to a certain spot. This resolves names to numbers. Because computers like numbers, they're not so good with names. So far, so good. That wasn't specifically Linux, but
I think that makes. Because I was thinking of it before, but now it's just like, if it doesn't have anywhere else to communicate on the server, just
communicate on the
networks.
network. Because this has nothing to do with servers.
You're right.
Yep. Other than we need a DNS server to resolve names to numbers. But yes, it's on the network. Yeah. Okay, that was kind of off the beaten path, but that's the stuff that a cybersecurity person or IT person knows without thinking about it. So if they're going to scan the network, they know exactly what to type in after they've done an IP config or whatever they've done. They'll look for the local, yep, here it is. There's my local address that has everything I need. So if I'm going to scan this network, there's a couple different ways to define a network when you're scanning. So 10.0.1.1. This way is I'm just listing every IP address. So I'm saying I want to look at the IP addresses from 1 to 254. But it depends on the scanning software. Sometimes this doesn't work. But this is one way, and we don't want an intense scan because, we want to get out of here before, Friday. So we're going to do what's called a quick scan. And then we click scan, and it'll look at the network, and it'll take a moment for it to come back. But then it'll come back with all kinds of information about other hosts on our network. Yeah, look at there. It works pretty quickly. And it will return like what kind of computer it thinks it is. And it looks at MAC addresses and tries to figure out, like, here's one from Azure Wave Technology. Oh, look at here. Owen puts his name on everything. Yeah, apparently, yeah. So is scanning a network would that be considered invasive?
Could be.
Yeah. Only scan and do things like this to this room or your own, or one where you've got permission. Like Riley should not be doing this at the bank.
They'll set up multiple arms.
Yeah, one day one of my students was doing this and they accidentally connected up to the Wild West network. And Mike says, was this one of your students? I said, yeah. Cause it's easy to happen when you're working on this stuff, but yes. We have a system too that looks for this kind of stuff because this is intrusive. Because you're sending packets out and looking at things. Here you can do whatever you want, except destroy my network. Please don't do that. How does this know that this is a Vizio? From the MAC address. So the MAC address is divided into two parts also. The first part of the media access control address is, this is one of the groups of numbers that's Vizio is designated to Vizio. So that'd be this guy here. He's hooked by wireless to our Wild West. We don't ever use it except to update the TV, but if we wanted to watch YouTube, we could, or Netflix. So this first part, manufacturers, I can't remember the name of the authority that does this, but there's some group that assigns the first part to everybody. The second part, Vizio uses, and they change with every device. So theoretically, across the entire world, there should not be another device that has that MAC address because it's burned on the network card. Well, guess what? Anything that you think is permanent, we're going to change. We can spoof the MAC address. We can spoof the IP address. We can do all kinds of stuff, and we will. What else do we have here? We have another Azure Wave technology. Because we have one of those with Owen. There's a Cisco Systems, which I don't know what that is. MegaWell Limited. Ruckus Wireless, I know what that is. That's that guy up there. That's his static IP address. What did you gonna say, Owen?
Oh,
You were gonna say something?
What used?
What do you have, Riley?
Laptop is one that's been passwords to the Xur.
Oh, so yours is, what kind of laptop do you and Owen have?
Mine's in HP.
What do you have, Owen?
HP.
Do you have your HP on, Riley?
Mine's not with me, it's not.
Okay, so it's not gonna show up. This is only computers that show up. Does anybody have an HP in here? No? Andy, you don't have an HP? Where that's coming from? It may not be an HP. Quite often the same chipset, in the same wireless card might be used in several different devices. Andy has a Dell. What have you got, Christy? You have a Lenovo, don't you? No,
For my personal computer,
no, the one that's here.
so I think both of the computers in front of me are Dell.
Oh, the laptop?
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Tori? Did you bring your own laptop or you have a?
I brought my MacBook.
Okay, well, all bets are off with MacBooks, except you're gonna be in here somewhere. I just don't know what sort of thing you have. Because on the network, everybody is the same. We have a bunch of Dells, because we have a bunch of Dells.
So at like the domain, one's on, at default out local at the end.
When you get an IP address in this room, the DHCP server automatically assigns dpod.local as the part of the fully qualified domain name automatically, because we have our own DNS server. So it uses that to resolve everybody to IP addresses. It's not going to do that at your house. It probably does that at your work though, because that's very common for a business to have that, because the domain in this room is dpod.local. And there's two different meanings to domain. We have domain name like google.com. We also have domain names of internal networks. A domain, as far as Microsoft is concerned, is a security boundary managed by servers. So you would belong to the domain. These computers on the desktop belong to the domain. Your other computers don't belong. They're just using my DNS and DHCP servers. So you're just getting dpod.local, but you're not participating in the Microsoft domain. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of things to know. All right, well, there's our guy. We've found everything about our, and of course, the intent scans do a lot more, but they take longer. Let's go ahead and close this guy out.
And then you didn't have to download, ZenMap on there, right?
No, it's part of this distribution
And
again.
mine came with Nmap, not ZenMap, Nmap. It doesn't open up to that.
I just recently, I just got the latest ISO and I reinstalled all my virtual machines. So for a while, Kali Linux didn't include ZenMap. Now they are again.
Cause I just got the ISO the other day. It's like,
Now, this is the standard install. It has Nmap, which is the command line.
Yeah.
And ZenMap is actually just a wrapper that talks to Nmap. But yeah, it came with this one. For a while, they didn't have it, but now it's back again. So I have no idea.
maybe I just accidentally disabled something in the tools that it installed.
Don't know.
Cause I know I was having.
Do you have all these things?
Yep.
Okay. I'm not sure why it didn't install.
Yeah.
Cause I just did this like 2 days ago. And I did it with the latest ISO, whatever that was.
Oh, maybe I need to update my, version. I think I need to do this.
Well, there's different versions that you download and install from Kali.
Mm,
And so by updating your software, it's not necessarily going to change what you have installed. And they may have just changed it when I just downloaded this like a few days ago. So
yeah,
here's our
I just downloaded
installer
this.
images.
Like,
So it was 225.2 is the one I downloaded in this room. And if it just changed over from 225.1, it may have had different applications that were automatically installed.
I got 225 though.
Then it should have been in there because this is what I'm using.
I bet I just disabled one of the tools somewhere.
I always take just the defaults of whatever it says.
Yeah, then it was giving me an error with software install, so.
If you're not connected to a network with your virtual machine, Kali doesn't install well. So you just want to make sure that your computer, as long as your computer has internet access, Kali should say, oh, everything's happy. It has to check it's like when you do Windows updates. Except Linux uses it to manage all the software on the system. So you can install and uninstall. It's kind of like a really good version of Microsoft Store. But if it's not connected to the internet when you're installing it, it won't do anything with that stuff.
And I was connected.
It was, so it should have. And then, yeah, that's the one I used. I downloaded it like a week ago or so. I don't know. It should have been the same, but
Yeah, I don't know.
who knows? So when Linux updates differently. So did anybody remember hearing me say this one? Does anybody tell me what sudo does? Owen?
You want me to?
Yeah,
Go.
you're probably the only one that's used it all the time.
Gives it a bit.
Yep.
Access.
Sudo is like one-time root access. So some commands you have to run sudo in first. If you run a command that requires sudo and you don't put it, it comes up with sometimes errors and sometimes it'll say, oh, you have to run this as sudo. So I always thought, I don't know what sudo stands for. I always thought it stood for super user do. I don't know. But if you do sudo apt update, apt is the package manager, which is what they call it in Linux, which means like applications and system files. So apt is kind of a combination of Windows updates and the Microsoft Store thing. If you do that, what it's going to do, you always have to provide your password. It's going to check between what's on your computer and what's on the kali.darklab.sh website and see if you're up to date. And are there things that you need to download? I've never had it happen here, but at home, sometimes when I update this, my antivirus doesn't like it. And it'll stop the connection. And yeah, 859 packages can be upgraded. So if you do decide to upgrade this, which isn't a bad idea to keep up to date, make sure you do it when you have time to go off and eat lunch and visit a friend and drive to Cheyenne and back, and then it'll be finished. But if we do sudo apt upgrade, that actually starts the process. If you do -y, you don't have to interact with it very much. -Y says just go ahead and install things. There will be things that you have to do stuff to. I'm not gonna upgrade it right now because it would take longer than I'm gonna be here today. Now you know something else. If you have too much on the screen and you want people to see and not see the stuff anymore, I think I've already done that once. Clear. Close out your terminal so you don't have a bunch of stuff going on. Does everybody have Kali Linux up and running finally? No? You shaking your head, Christy? There's something
No.
wrong because this has been like 30 minutes.
I had to shut off my computer because it wouldn't let me out of VirtualBox.
Oh, okay. That's no good.
It locked me into the window during the installation and then wouldn't let me continue with the installation until I shut off the computer.
Okay,
Because I
so
had
if you
COVID.
get caught in here, press the right control key and that'll get your mouse out. I'm guessing that's what happened.
Yeah.
Yep. Because when you're starting an installation, your mouse can get trapped. Once you're to like this kind of an interface, you're fine. But the right control key releases it. It's called capture. It doesn't get captured very often, but once in a while it does, which is probably what happened in your case. Your mouse was captured and you didn't know how to uncapture it. So your mouse ate a piece of cheese and the trap went. Got your mouse. Okay, ls is a command we use all the time in Linux. It lists the contents of whatever folder you're in. And what's in my folder of Bill or Kali Bill is all these folders. Well, isn't that great? So how do we make a folder so can store our own stuff in it? Because we're going to do a few things like that. mkdir. Let's make a code folder. We're not going to put code in it, but we'll just make one. Do an ls. Look at there. There it is. We've made a code folder. How do we get into the code folder? Do I have to type in the whole word? No. I can use this called tab completion. If I type in a capital C and press tab, notice how Linux fills it in for me. Windows does the same thing. If whatever you type in is unique, it'll find the rest of it. If I just type in a D, there's 3 things that have Ds. So I have to type in at least probably ES to get desktop to pop up. Yeah, see, it didn't complete it, right? But it does give me some help. So I type E, now it completes desktop because I've typed in enough that it matched. So it's like looking for the directory and matching what you've typed in. And I can go to the desktop, for example, and there I am. Notice that my command terminal shows me I am in that folder, just like Windows does. How do I get out of that folder?
Or, yeah, that's right.
CD dot lets me move up. And now I'm back into my home folder, is what that's called in Linux, your home folder. And let's change to our code, CD, capital C. The nice thing about tab completion is it prevents a lot of spelling mistakes. Because if you don't spell it right, you're in trouble. Linux is also case sensitive on everything. CODE is not the same as capital CODE. They're 2 totally different things. The only thing that's case sensitive in Windows is the password. With Linux, everything is case sensitive. So we have a special command that all it does is make text files. Everything in Linux is, all the configuration in Linux is run by text files. There's no magic database registry in it. So that's why they have a command called touch. And if I do touch my file.txt, I get an empty text file called my file.txt, and that's all touch does. And there it is. It's an empty text file. Pretty exciting, huh? Now, what if we want to write a little Python script? Python's built into Linux, Java's built into Linux, C++ is built in already. It's already there. Let's make a little Python program. There's a little command line editor called Nano. Every time I say that, I think of Robin Williams and the Mork and Mindy. Nano. Okay, way before my time. Tori's the only one that has watched that show. And that's a really old show. So you had to have watched reruns, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Parents grew up with it, so.
Oh, okay. So you know, nano, or
Yeah.
what, nano, I think is what he said.
Yeah.
Anyway, nano, we're gonna do a hello world. .py. Linux doesn't care about the extension. But extensions help us. And by typing in nano, I'm going to create a text file and open up the editor. This is the nano editor. It's very simple. There. A very simple Python program. This little guy means it's not been saved. You don't see it here, but Control S works in Nano. I just saved my file. Now, if I do Control X, I would type in Python. There it is. Python's built into Linux. A lot of these tools over here are written in Python. And some of them are written in, there's several dozen languages that they use, but Python's very common for cybersecurity stuff. We're not going to do Java and C++. Aren't you glad? I reserve that for my computer science people I don't want to torture. And he's already been through the torture regime, so he knows all about the fun of Java and C++.
Not so bad once you get the hang of it.
No, it's not. So we can shut down Kali Linux in a couple different ways. We can use the graphical interface. Oh, that's for wimps. We are tough hackers here, so we're going to do it the command line way. Power off shuts down Linux. And it shuts down the operating system. It doesn't actually turn the power off. It just says, Linux, let's shut down your operating system. And then Mr. Kali Linux is shut down. And we've had our little brief tour of Kali Linux and Nmap and some other stuff. And I'm going to